What is going on, traders? We got a lot to talk about in this video, but before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So in my last video, I pretty much warned that things were looking really, really bad across the market. I showed you guys multiple bear flags. I showed you guys a huge head and shoulders patterns on the triple Qs. I showed you guys a lot of signs that were leading to a potential correction part two. And it looks like we're starting that. Now, granted, this morning I did not expect us to gap up and head all the way to 448 on the triple Qs. That move was definitely a surprise. And we got lucky on our play. I'm not going to lie. On our triple Qs calls from last night, we definitely got lucky on that play. So, congratulations to Discord members who profited off that play. We all profited actually, but we really got lucky. But a win is a win. I take it. Profit is profit. So, what are my expectations from this point on? I think it's obvious we're going to continue to drop from this point. Right now, we're looking at the NQ 2 hour time frame, and I've shown you guys this multiple times. Well, not multiple times, but starting the last video, I showed you guys this. And right now, we're looking at a bear flag. We broke below the bear flag. And if you're new to the YouTube channel, one thing I did in the last video is I measured the movement of the flag pole. And this is how you get a somewhat prediction on where a particular stock, futures, ETF, whatever you're looking at, can go when they form patterns like these. And all you do is measure the top of the flagpole to the bottom of the flag, and then you bring it down to the breaking point of the flag. And right now, that measurement leads all the way down to 16,200 on the NQ. Now, do I think we'll get that low? It is possible, but we're pretty far off from that point, and we're still above the daily SMA. So I can't really call that move right now. But what I will say is that we want to see 17,800 hold on the NQ. If we break below 17,800, then our next move is towards 17,500. Let's actually get rid of this because at this point it's distracting. But one thing that I want you guys to keep in mind, and if you're new to this channel, then I always say this, all right? I always say this to all the OGs that's been following my channel for quite a minute. We're rolling back into this pattern. And what do I say about rolling back into patterns? When you're rolling back into a pattern, that means that most of the time means you're going in that direction. And as you guys can see, we have this falling channel here. And right here is a great example of this. We broke out, we rolled over, we broke back into the channel, and then we started to break down, we gapped down, and we headed to the bottom of the channel. And it looks like we're repeating the same process here. So if I had to go off historical data here, I would say, assuming that we're going to break the daily SMA here at around 17,800, I would say that we can head all the way back down to 17,000 on the NQ. All right. But again, we're still above the daily SMA, so take this with a grain of salt for now. But things don't look good. I will say that much. I think that's pretty obvious. And I don't see any signs of bullishness happening right now. But what I will say is that heading into tomorrow, we do have unemployment claims data at 8:30 Eastern. We have 30-year bond auction, and then we have a Fed member speaking as well. Do I think unemployment claims is going to change anything? From my experience trading, I have 12 years experience trading. One thing I will say is that news events, unless they're black swan events like COVID, 9/11, the banking crisis, .com, things like that, they don't really affect how TA works, at least from my experience, if you know what you're doing and anything. And I'm not by all means the perfect trader, but in my experience, things like unemployment claims really don't go opposite of what TA shows. Now, when you get traps here and there, like let's say we do one of these moves, unemployment claims comes in lower or whatever the case may be, maybe you get like a lower high form and another bull trap set up at around maybe 18,300, 18,200 range, and then do one of these moves and break back down. That can happen. But overall, the short-term trend right now is bearish. So I don't imagine unemployment claims is going to change much of anything. But what I will say is that unemployment claims came in very, very high last week. It's really hard for me to see that happening or it going higher than that. I think that would be absolutely insane, and that definitely is most likely to cause another market correction. So again, I will say this. I've said this in the past two, three videos. Any bullish momentum we get, and even when I say that, people don't listen to me when I say this, but I'm gonna keep saying it anyway. Any bullish momentum we do get to the upside, take it with a grain of salt. All right. I keep seeing it in the Discord. Any type of bullish momentum we get, oh, all time highs. Oh, the drop is over. We're heading back to previous highs. We're so far away from previous highs, guys. Like to be yelling all time highs at this point is absolutely just coping. I'm sorry, not sorry, but we got to be realistic here. And right now, nothing about the charts, about the TA, new even with news, there's no good news that's happening right now for us to be screaming new highs, all-time highs, the drop is over. There's nothing happening right now for us to even think that. We got this Japan news, we got potential war, we got recession. What do we have that can potentially get us back to all-time highs right now? Nothing. So that's my little rant there. Looking at the ES, same thing. We're looking at a bear flag. We broke below the bear flag. Granted, we are still above the daily SMA, but I do think the ES from this point on is going to head towards 5,100. And then after that, I'm looking at a move towards 5,000. If we give up 5,000, that's where things get really bad, and we're going to officially enter a bear trend. Okay. Now, heading into tomorrow, if unemployment claims does just so happen to come in a little better than expected, I do imagine that we may retest 5270, 5280. Highest I'm looking at is about 5,300 before we see another drop that is on the table right now. So I imagine, again, any upside we do get as far as unemployment claims, I do think it's going to be a bull trap. So take it with a grain of salt. Don't get overly excited until we start breaking key supply and demand zones and key levels. And right now, that key level will be 5350 on the ES. Okay. And that's all I have for the ES. Triple Qs. So triple Qs, I showed you guys. I mean, it's another bear flag, guys. It's another bear flag. We actually measured this bear flag. Let's actually do that. So again, we measured the top of the flag pole all the way to the bottom of the flag. We bring it down to the breaking point of the bear flag, and right now, that measurement shows a move all the way to 390 on the triple Qs. Call me crazy, but I mean, we're not too far off from that target. We're kind of far off, but it's more realistic now, if anything, considering the kind of market we're in right now. Okay. So 390 is on the table and and we do have the potential to head there if we just so happen to break below 430. After 430, we want to see a break below 420. If we're bearish, we want to see a break below 420. We get rid of these guys here. I tell you guys all the time, wicks tell you where sellers and buyers are. We stop these guys out of their position. Please believe we are heading much, much lower on the triple Qs. Again, the measurement for this flag is about 390. Okay. So if we go to the daily time frame, I also showed you guys this head and shoulders pattern. All right. You got your shoulder here, you got your head here, you got your shoulder here. And then as far as the neckline, there's actually two necklines here. We broke one, and then we went to retest it and form our second shoulder, and then we ended up gapping down, and now we are, well, not now, but we were at our next get neckline at around 447, 446 range. Today we ended up gapping up and retesting that neckline, and then we gave it all back like the market continues to do, and now we are looking at a bearish engulfing candle. So my next target from here is 430. I mentioned this in the last video, and honestly, I thought it was going to happen like immediately in the morning, but the opposite happened. We retested the neckline of the head and shoulders pattern, and now we are looking like we want to continue lower. What I will say is that this pattern is strong enough to break the daily SMA. Head and shoulders patterns are probably the best and strongest patterns in the market, in my opinion. And one thing they can do is break levels. Okay, so keep that in mind, especially if the neckline is broken. SPY. SPY, same thing. You broke below your bear flag. I don't remember if I even did I go. No, I didn't. We broke below our bear flag here, and if we do the same thing with the SPY as far as measuring the potential move of the bear flag here, we bring it down to the breaking point. SPY can go as low as about 476. Am I counting on that? I mean, we're at 518, guys. Does it really sound unrealistic right now? I mean, does it really look unrealistic for us to head as low as 480, I would say? But as you guys know, my target for the SPY right now, at least my first target is about 510, 509 once again. And then after that, we break below 507. We're heading to this supply and demand zone right here, this daily supply and demand zone. And ironically, the daily SMA is at 500. So between 500 and 504 is my target from here. And I've told you guys this multiple times in other videos that that target has still remained despite whatever upside we get. And it looks like we're heading there. Okay. So first target is 510, 509. After that, you're looking at a move to 507. You break below 507, you're heading towards 504. And then after that, you're looking at a move to 500. In order for me to be bullish or somewhat bullish again, I want to see the SPY get above 535. 533, 535 psych level, and then I will really want us to get above 540, if anything, for me to be somewhat optimistic of potential upside. But that's all I really have for the SPY. Now, as far as Bitcoin goes, Bitcoin just let's actually go to the daily time frame. Bitcoin looks terrible. All right. So I told you guys that I believe I mentioned this in the last video. If I didn't, I mentioned it in a Discord. But there's two scenarios here where either Bitcoin is going to start forming a head and shoulders pattern. You got your shoulder here, your head here, and your shoulder here. And I gave you guys two scenarios. Either Bitcoin is going to start forming the shoulder at 62K, or it's going to form a shoulder at 58K. And it looks like it chose this to be its shoulder. Right now, you're looking at somewhat of consolidation here. And if we break below 50K on Bitcoin, I would say 49K to be safe. We're really, really illiquid. Let's actually mark that out. Like right here, guys. This is, if we get in this area, we are dropping very, 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 very fast on Bitcoin. Okay. And then at this point, we're heading towards 44K. I told you guys that's one of my targets, 42, 44K. Yeah, so things look really bad. So we hit our first target when Bitcoin was at like 65K. I told you guys Bitcoin is going to head to 60K. And then I gave you another target of 57K. Then I gave you another target of 52K. And now we are going to head towards 44K, in my opinion, if the market continues to drop. So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Now, let's get into some stocks. So first stock I'm going to look at is Amazon. So Amazon looks good. It's, in retrospect, Amazon still looks good here. The only issue is that the market does not care. Okay. And if the market doesn't agree with Amazon, then Amazon's going to continue to drop. Now, what I will say is that Amazon is not under the Nasdaq anymore, but it seems to be reacting like it is under the Nasdaq. And what I will say is that it's still holding this weekly trend. This is a weekly trend, by the way. We bounced here, we bounced here, we bounced all in this area, we bounced here. My only issue is that now we failed to get above the daily SMA at around 168. We tested it, but we failed to get above it, and then we would have had potentially filled this gap all the way to 185. What I will say is that there's still hope for Amazon as long as we stay here, but I just don't want to risk it at this point. I want to wait and see if we can at least get at least above 170 on Amazon from this point here. But otherwise, we're still below the daily SMA. Sure, we're holding this weekly trend. There's potential for a weekly inverted hammer pattern here. So if, depending on how we close Friday, if Amazon can manage to hold this inverted hammer pattern, I may consider doing long, much dated contracts on this play here. I think Amazon is recession proof. I think it's one of the few stocks that is recession proof. And it's ironic that it ended up under the Dow Jones all of a sudden. So pretty interesting. Okay. So I will say that much. Um, Another stock is Apple. So in the Discord, I got us into 200 calls for August 30th. On Apple, we got in at around 210.5, point 0.4, somewhere around that range. You guys are free to correct me if you're in the Discord or whatever the case may be. And right here is what I'm looking at for Apple. So Apple has a head and shoulders pattern here. Where is it? So we have our shoulder here, we have a head here, we have another shoulder here, and then our neckline was broken at around 218, and then we gapped down. And Apple has failed to get above 212.5, 213 range. So I do think Apple is going to head lower from here, considering the conditions of the market, especially considering that Apple gave up 210 as well. So that is another sign. What I will say is that If Apple drops with the market, then that's a very bad sign because Apple does have a habit of doing inverse of the market. So there's potential there for, Apple to go up and the market to go down. But right now, it definitely looks like Apple is going down with the market. Right now, after hours is at 209.3. So I do think that Apple is going to head towards 195. Lowest I'm looking at is the daily SMA at around 190. Again, we're in 200 puts for August 30th on Apple. I wanted to do this week, but we are already in other plays, so I didn't want to like risk it or anything like that. But Apple looks bad. I really don't have anything good to say about it. Now, if unemployment claims just so happens to come in and the market decides to react well to it, there is potential for a retest here and fill this gap real quick. But like I keep telling you guys, any upside the market gives you at this point, take with a grain of salt. I think Apple is going to immediately drop from there, or it just continues to drop from here. Regardless, any upside, if Apple does give it to you, I don't think it is. We are below 210. We closed about below 210. We continue to head lower across the board. So I think we're just going to continue to head lower at this point. And my target for Apple, first target, I would say is about 200, 200, and then you're looking at a move to 197. You break below 197, that's where things get really scary. You start heading towards 190 on Apple. So that is my targets on Apple. Next stock is Carvana. So Carvana, we are in the Discord. We should be up on Carvana. I'm up on Carvana. Everybody else should be up on Carvana. A lot of people got in a much cheaper price than I did. Some got in at the same time I did. So congratulations if you're in Carvana. I figured I'd talk about it in this video. No one really requested this. I know someone requested Amazon, but I want to talk about this because when we first got into this play, everybody was panicking the moment it went up. Drawbacks are part of the game, guys. You're going to get drawbacks. You just gotta trust me. All right. I know what I'm doing. You gotta trust me. I know a lot of you are new to the Discord, but you gotta trust me if you're going to follow my plays. I know what I'm doing. We're gonna make money. Okay. That's one thing I am confident in. If you don't make money, I'm gonna make money. If you don't want to make money, I'll make money myself. But regardless, you gotta trust me. Carvana. So Carvana has a um, engulfing pattern here. Bearish engulfing pattern. I was trying to think of the name of it. I kept wanting to say engulfing hammer pattern. So there's a bearish hammer engulfing pattern. See, there it is. Um, Carvana breaking below 130 is actually very huge. I have a price target of 110 on Carvana. Um, it can head towards this daily SMA, but I'm not looking to wait that long. There's also a gap all the way towards 90, so that would be beautiful. We are in August 16th, 120 puts. We got in at around 135, 138 range. Some people got in at different prices, so that's why I'm saying the ranges. But I do expect Carvana to pretty much hit the bottom of this channel at least between 110, 105 range, maybe bounce, get one more bounce, retest 120, and then head lower. So that's what I'm looking at for Carvana, in case anyone was wondering. It's also important to note that this yellow line here is monthly monthly resistance, which is around 135. So the fact that we broke below that and we're heading much lower is a very, very, very good sign. So congratulations to everybody in the Carvana play. You should be up a lot. I know a lot of you got in either late or early. Well, not early, but at the same time I did. So you may not be as deep in profit. But regardless, this thing is tanking. I'm very confident in this dropping even more. So we'll see. The next stock that I want to look at is someone actually requested this, NVDA. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Nvidia looks bad. Okay, it looks bad. I don't think I even have to say that. The fact that it broke below 103, this thing is gonna head lower. I will say that much. It needed to hold 103. 103 was a very, very key level. Now, our next level is 96. It gets. What I will say is Nvidia has very tight ranges after this point. So our next level here is 96, and the reason why I say it has very tight ranges at this point, I just noticed that I don't have any supply and demand zones marked, but I mean we're doing good at this point, so might as well keep going, right? So there's a lot of turbulence in this area for Nvidia. So I imagine it's going to, unless we gap down tomorrow, I imagine it's just going to play games around this area. But Nvidia just looks bad. I mean, the daily SMA is at $80. Now, the question is, because no one asked me this, but I'm sure people are wondering, what is a great buying opportunity for NVIDIA? I personally would say around 80, between 80 and $60 is a great buying opportunity for NVIDIA. Now, will it go to $80? I can't say for sure right now. I honestly can't. I can't. But what I will say is that it's been a very, very, very long time since NVIDIA tested the daily SMA. Very long time. So if we do get there, I do think $80, between $80, $60 is a great buying opportunity. The reason why I say $60 as well is there's still a gap here, and it tried to fill it, but it didn't. There's a gap at around $70, and then there's another gap here. And keep in mind, gaps don't have to be filled, but I do think prior to earnings that Nvidia is going to continue to drop, and then earnings is going to come in and save the day. I do think that's possible here. I think Nvidia is going to drop heading into its earnings, and then it's going to recover, and then the market is going to recover right along with it. So that is possible. That's on the table. But again, Nvidia doesn't look good. The fact that it gave up 103 and even 100 psych level is very, very bad. I think it's going to take its time going down unless we do gap down. But other than that, nothing good about Nvidia. Nothing I can really say about Nvidia. I'm sure people are looking for buying opportunities. Me personally, do what you want. Until it gets back above 103 and actually holds, I don't see the buying opportunity in this area. I think 80 again, $80. If you want to start dollar cost averaging at $90, that's fine. Between 90 to $90, that's fine. But for me to like start really loading the boat, I would love to see the retest of the daily SMA. So that's what I'm looking at for Nvidia. Let's talk about Tesla. So I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, Tesla doesn't look good as well. Tesla is, how can I say this? Tesla's cooked. Okay, Tesla is cooked. It's done. Um, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are supposed to have a meeting Monday. I don't even think that's going to save it. First, I do have first Tesla breaking below 200, very bad. It gapped below the daily SMA, very bad. It got below 194, extremely bad. It broke below it broke below 194, which is the bottom of the supply and demand zone. That's very bad. I have nothing. I have absolutely nothing. I think Tesla is going to continue to head lower. My first target is 170, which is right around where these guys are. A lot of turbulence in this area, and then we'll have to see what happens from there. But yeah, Tesla, I have nothing for you guys. I'm not gonna lie. It broke this trend here. I mean, everything points towards downside as far as Tesla. I don't know what I was doing here. That looks hideous. But regardless, everything looks bad here for Tesla. Even here, this was a potential inverse head and shoulders pattern, and it got destroyed. We're looking at the weekly time frame. Look right here. We had a shoulder here. We had a head here. We had another shoulder here. And in order for head and shoulders patterns to be invalidated, then the trend has to be broken from the head. And let's get rid of this. The trend has to be broken from the head, and that's exactly what happened. It broke below this trend. Is this thing is done? I mean, 170. There's hope here at 170. After 170, that's where things get really bad because you're in this a liquid candle area right here, and you can start revisiting that 140 level, which I think we left a gap at around earnings. So yeah, right here. Yeah. So nothing good to say about Tesla as well. I mean, you guys are getting an idea. There's there's nothing that's good to talk about as far as these stocks. Let's look at the VIX. So the VIX is very interesting. I think the VIX is going to head back to the 60s again. I know that's hard to believe. I know that's very rare, but I mean, look at this. I mean, we go to the daily time frame, guys. We broke out of this channel. We've been in this channel for a very, very long time, right here. We've been in this for a very long time. And look what happened when we broke out. Insane. We went to 65 on the VIX. Right now we're retesting the top of this channel on the VIX. And granted, the VIX doesn't really, people say the VIX doesn't follow TA. I've never noticed that. I think it does. Maybe they're using TA wrong. I don't know. I don't know. But people say that. I don't know. I really don't. It seems to work fine for me. So, and I've been trading for 12 years. So I don't know. But regardless, the VIX can at some point the VIX has to head back into this area. It's going to try again. I have no doubt in my mind. It's going to try again and try to get out of this area where these bears are. All right. So that's all I have for the VIX. I mean, it's clear as day here, guys. I don't know what else to say about the VIX. It just looks like it wants to head back higher. And with the market dropping and everything else, what can I say? Let's talk about SMCI. This is gonna be a long video. So SMCI, I said in the Discord, I think I said in the Discord, and I forgot to mention it in the last video, which I was kind of upset about. SMCI is in this very liquid area. I think it's heading towards 450. Earnings. Once the earnings report came out, I just knew that upside move that happened was not going to hold. Their EPS missed by so much. So we're in this very, very illiquid area, guys. This thing is going to continue to tank. I mean, it can head to 300s. I'm not even gonna lie. Given how illiquid this area is, it's not done until 300s. It's not. Look, I mean, look at it. We zoom in. Let me actually zoom in. We're below the daily SMA, by the way. We're so illiquid all the way to the 300s. My target is 450. We're pretty close to that after hours. We're at 484. But my target was 450 all the way in like the 600s. Once we broke below this pattern here and we broke below the daily SMA. And once we broke below 565, I mentioned this in the Discord that 565 is important. Um yeah, this thing looks bad. And I imagine a lot of semis I imagine semis are going to follow this. Okay. We're in MU puts. We are in 80 puts for next week, I believe. So yeah, we're in MU puts. We're in 80 puts for next week. Let's actually look at the Discord. Right now we're in profit on MU. So yeah, I'm up about $500 on MU. I think it's going to continue to drop. Given what we just saw with SMCI, and I showed you guys with SMCI, this thing is going to continue to drop. I believe a few people are in profit on it as well. Well, no one showed their screenshot, but but usually they do. So we'll get back to it. They'll probably will maybe tomorrow if the market gaps down and we close this play. We didn't close it yet, so it makes sense. I did give the option to small accounts to close the play if they want to take some profit. So it's really up to you guys if you want to take profit. But yeah, I think MU is going to continue to head lower, especially given what we just saw in SMCI. And it seems to be obvious that a lot of semiconductors are following SMCI. So I do think this thing is going to continue to drop, and semis are going to follow right along with it. And what else? What else? Let's talk about AMD. I don't think there's much to talk about here with AMD. AMD is going to. It looks like AMD is going to head to 120, 119 range. That's all I have. Okay, that's really all I have for AMD. I think this thing is going to continue to drop. It's very liquid all the way to the 120s, and then after that, you got some turbulence there. But if you continue to break down, okay, if you break down below 115 on AMD, you're doing it all over again. You're doing it all over again, and you're heading down to the 100s. So yeah, AMD looks bad. Semis just look bad in general. And that's really all I'm going to go over. We can go over coins since I did go over Bitcoin. I told you guys my price target for coin is about 140. This thing is going to head towards 160 at this point. We have a bearish engulfing pattern as well. Closed above the daily SMA as well. I mean, we have our double top pattern here. We have a top here, top here. We broke our neckline at around 200. We retested it, the neckline here. This thing is heading lower. Simple as that. There's a lot of gaps down here. Coin is going to head lower. Someone asked me in the Discord why I didn't why I won't alert this play. I just put it out as a trade idea because we're already in like 5 plays, guys. Me and a few admins agreed that if I alert, if you're in too many plays, you're gonna lose your mind, and I'm gonna lose my mind because you guys are gonna question me every single day. If we're like in 10 option plays in one day, there's gonna be a person questioning each play, and then I gotta go over it every single day. So that would just frustrate me to the point that I wouldn't even want to. I would just want to get out the play just so people can leave me alone. All right. I don't mind questioning, but when it comes to like if we're in like a bunch of plays, which I would never put us in like more than 5 plays really, then imagine like 50, 30 people just asking you all the time about each and every play. And you have to keep, and some people are in the Discord at certain hours and others are out of it in certain hours. So hopefully you get the idea. But regardless, coin, I think it's going to drop, continue to drop. There's nothing to talk about here. Double top here, neckline, 200. You're breaking down, you retest, boom, easy money. Um, so yeah, if you want to jump into Bitcoin, my first price target is, I mean, not Bitcoin, coin. My first price target is 160. Second is 150, and then I think it'll head towards 140, which is pretty much my final price target. Can it head lower than that? Absolutely, but we'll talk about that if we ever get there. And I believe another stock that someone pointed out to me is XOM, and I didn't alert this. I'm not in it yet. I'm still trying to like get a vibe for it. I know this looks crazy. Hear me out. Hear me out. All right. Um, I don't even know how I'm gonna go over this. So we go to the weekly time frame, guys. First things first, we go to the weekly time frame. There is a cup and handle on Zom, and I believe this is oil, by the way. I don't trade oil. I don't really pay attention to oil. I don't necessarily care for oil, um, because it just moves like a pregnant snail. But you have your cup and handle. You have your cup here. You have your handle here. It broke out the handle. Then we go to smaller time frames. There's a inverse head and shoulders pattern here. Let's zoom in. I know it's a lot. I'll try to keep up. Shoulder here, head here, shoulder here, and then it gets even crazier. There's a double bottom here. There's a bottom here and a bottom here, and then the neckline is at 120. I think this thing is going to head towards 120 by the end of next week. It seems like every time it hits 120, it just rejects it. So yeah, if it breaks above 120, I don't know how that affects the market or anything. I imagine that could be very bad. I don't know. But 120 seems to be like the level of levels. If this thing breaks 120, pack your bags, leave the kids, grab you some snacks, grab you some Doritos, some spicy Doritos to be exact. Get you some salsa. I mean, plain Doritos get boring after a while. Get you some Capri Suns. Get the kids Capri Suns. Grab the fruit snacks. They're not gonna need any of that because we're going to the moon. Okay, we're going to the moon. All right, but we'll talk about Zom if that ever happens. After 120, you're looking at a move to 123 and then 125. So that's really all I have for this video. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Hopefully I went over all the stocks that were requested for the video. If I didn't, then I do apologize. This is a very long video. And that's all I have. Thank you for the support once again. The channel is just growing like crazy. I had no high expectations at all. Discord link is in the description below. Website is below if you want access to text message alerts sent directly to your phone, where you get all of my plays sent directly to the phone, to your phone, text messages, all that. It does cost a little more because it's a third party, and I have to pay that third party as well. It's only $10 more, but if you are open to going through Discord app and getting my signals, then by all means do that. Otherwise, if you don't choose to do either, I will continue to try to provide value on this channel. Again, appreciate all the support, guys. We're growing each and every day. I never had high expectations. I just do this for fun because I enjoy helping people and I enjoy learning myself. Other than that, until the next video, traders, have a good one.